Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. This is the second class of the Risala of Ibn Abi Zayd Al Qayrawani, the young Malik that was born 310 Hijriya, and he passed away 386 Hijriya. May Allah have mercy on him. This is the second class, and we're still in the chapter titled باب ما يجب منه الوضوء والغسل. So now we're on the sub chapter title مجبات الوضوء. So the author says here أما دم الاستحاضة فيجب منه الوضوء ويستحب لها ولسلس البول أن يتوضأ لكل صلاة. Okay, so here the author is saying he's about the blood of istihada, the irregular blood, which we'll get to. There's three types of blood that comes from the woman generally. One of those are the period or hayd, nifas, postpartum bleeding, and istihada, which is irregular blood. So the istihada, irregular blood, coming from the woman, the author says it's wajib for her to make wudu. But then it says وَيُسْتَحَبُّ لَهَا وَلِسَلِسِ الْبَوْلِ أَنْ يَتَوَضَّأَ لِكُلِّ صَلَاةٍ. So some of the explainers of the Risala say that there's 8 mashakil in the Risala. There's 8 kind of problems in the Risala. Again, this is a legendary text that all Malikis study. Well-known text, one of the earliest texts that we have in the school, by one of the greatest scholars in the madhab. But this is because this is not really clear what the author is saying. Because he says, firstly, وَأَمَّا دَمُ الْإِسْتِحَاضَةِ فَيَجِبُ مِنْهُ الْوُضُوء. So from the istihada blood, it is wajib to make wudu. But then he says, وَيُسْتَحَبُّ لَهَا وَلِسَلَسِ الْبَوْلِ. And then it's mustahab for her and the one that has incontinence with regards to urine, to make wudu for every prayer. So, obviously the mashhur of the Maliki school is that the irregularities like istihada blood and incontinence of urine or preseminal fluid or whatever it might be, if that's coming out again, we mentioned that the arif, the 3 pillars of what breaks wudu in the Maliki school, الخارج المعتاد من المخرج المعتاد على سبيل العادة. It is the natural thing that comes out of the natural place in a natural way. So anything other than that is not gonna obligate wudu on someone in the Maliki school. Also, that ta'rif is of the mufradat out of the 4 schools. Again, mufradat is when the Maliki mashhur went, it was singular and went against the other 3 schools. And this is another one as well, because the other schools, they say that it is obligatory for the one in this state to make wudu for every prayer. In the Maliki school, it's mustahab. Right? Why is it mustahab? Because the wudu is not going to stay anyway, because it's going to be just coming out all the time. And also, this is for the one that has the regular incontinence, it's coming out all the time, or majority of the time. But if it's coming out just sometimes, once a day, or a little bit here and there, that's not, that's going to require wudu. That's why, what does Ibn Ashir say? نواقض الوضوء 16 بول وريح سلس إذا ندر. So salas, the incontinence, if it's not all the time, then it actually breaks wudu, right? So the salas that's like majority of the time, or all the time, that's what's gonna not obligate wudu. It's gonna make it just mustahab because it's coming out all the time and you can't do anything about it. So obviously make sure to clean yourself in that state, and it's mustahab to make wudu. I would make wudu just to get out of khilaf as well, and make sure that you're clean and try to do what you can. But yeah, the Maliki mashhur is that it's mustahab for the woman in istihada, the regular blood, or incontinence of urine for both, or pre-seminal fluid, or whatever it might be, then it's mustahab in the Maliki school. ويجب الوضوء من زوال العقل بنوم مستقل مستقل أو إغماء أو سكر أو تخبط جنون. So now the author is going to tell us what breaks wudu in the Maliki school. And the first thing he says, min zawal al-aql. So for one's, I guess, state to be altered with regards to the mind, and he gives the examples of things like that being the heavy sleep. Right, the heavy sleep. So sleep in the Maliki school is of the easiest, compared to other schools. So there's 4 types of sleep. 2 of them are light, and 2 of them are heavy. So there's one. So the first one is short and light, doesn't break wudu. The second one is long and light, doesn't break wudu, but it's mustahab to make wudu. Then short and heavy breaks wudu, long and heavy breaks wudu. So 2 don't break wudu and 2 break wudu. So it's 4 total. 2 don't break wudu, 2 break wudu. And the second one that we mentioned is mustahab to make wudu. Right, the one that's light sleep, but it's long, right? And they say the difference between light and long sleep is like, if you're holding like prayer beads, or maybe even your phone, and then you drop it, that'd be like heavy sleep. Light sleep, like someone calls your name, you hear it right away. Like you're there. You're not, like you're still haven't, I guess they say, knocked out. Also, like it's khuruj from al khilaf to say it's mustahab to make the second one. I guess mustahab to make wudu from, even though it doesn't break wudu, because other schools and other scholars say that it does. Ighma is fainting, right? Losing one's senses, and it's and obviously it's not controlled. Like it happens to some people. May Allah, protect us and make it easy on the ones that this happens to. If you're in that state, this also is you, I guess, losing your, your state of mind, if you will, and this would break wudu, and ighma breaks wudu by ijma'. Right? Or sukur, intoxicating, or be intoxicated, this breaks wudu by ijma' as well. أو تخبط جنون, or getting in a state of, obviously people will use the word crazy or insane, like this is the actual, like someone that actually is, say like insane, as in he doesn't have his, like he's not all the way there in his brain. So all 3 of these. So and again, with regards to the intoxication, whether halal or haram is the same thing, right? So one drinks alcohol and knows that it's haram and does it, still breaks wudu. And the junoon originally started off to mean one that was like hit by a jinn, like I guess possessed him or her, but eventually kind of became known as one that is in a state that is, I guess, his brain isn't maybe like a how it should be, if you will. Yeah. So again, those last three, the ighma, the sukur, and the takhabbuti junoon, they all break wudu by ijma'. And clear-cut proofs on those three. Obviously, there's proofs about the sleeping, and then sleeping breaks wudu. All four schools they acknowledge that, but there's different like things about are you sitting or not sitting, and so on and so forth. There's different things like that are given, but the other ones are pretty much qiyas al-awla, and ijma'. So qiyas on the sleep, we have the fainting and the intoxicated and being in the state of insanity. And there's an ijma' that those break wudu. So there's two usuli principles there, qiyas and ijma'. ويجب الوضوء من الملامسة للذة والمباشرة بالجسد للذة والقبلة للذة ومن مس الذكر. So here's more nullifiers here of wudu. The mulamasa. So in here the author does something really amazing, and he tries to the best of his ability to use the words of the Quran and the Sunnah in his work, which is why this is a blessed book. A lot of reasons, but that's of the big reasons as well. Obviously in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَوْ لَامَسْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ, right? Or أَوْ لَمَسْتُم. Two qira'at there. لِلَّذَّةِ. So in the Maliki mashhur, your wudu is broken by touching the opposite gender, with seeking that pleasure. So there's ultimately four pictures one needs to know. Three of them break wudu, one of them doesn't. So you touch intending pleasure and you get it, you feel it, that breaks wudu. You touch intending pleasure and you didn't get it, it breaks wudu. If you didn't touch intending pleasure and you do get it, then it breaks wudu. The only picture that doesn't break wudu is the fourth one, which is you didn't touch intending pleasure and you didn't get any type of pleasure, then your wudu is still intact. So there's four total pictures. The first three break wudu and the fourth one doesn't. And is this of the mufradat of the madhab? So the three schools, the Maliki, Shafi'i, and Hanbali schools, they say touching the opposite gender breaks wudu, but they have different ways of looking at it. So Hanafi school, they don't have that, right? But the Shafi'is have touching in general, right? Without, they don't have the pleasure apart. So the Hanbali school does match the Maliki school in this, in the ladha. But they don't have the four picture thing that we just mentioned, right? So that breakdown, that's why, even if you might know other opinions of other schools, it's you don't have that, that precise detail. There's four of this, there's three of these, and it's just so precise, which shows the difference between knowing other opinions and knowing a madhab. So again, in essence, the Maliki and Hanbali school, they both say that ladha is what breaks wudu with regards to touching the opposite gender. But again, the Maliki school has this different, I guess, details and how they look at it. So so the only thing is, though, that definitely breaks wudu no matter what, is kissing on the mouth. Right, so kissing on the cheek goes under the touching but kissing on the mouth breaks wudu in the Maliki school, right? Like no matter what, in the mashhur. So yeah. ومن مس الذكر, and then touching the male private part breaks wudu in the Maliki school. And here the author doesn't give any more details than that, and you'll actually get that in the ghusl part. Even like Ibn Ashad does the same thing. He says, وَالْطَافُ مَرْأَةٍ كَذَا مَسُ الذَّكَرِ. So he doesn't give like how. So the Malikis have their own way. So firstly, the Malikis, Shafi'is, and Hanbalis, they agree on touching the private part breaks wudu, contrary to the Hanafis, which say it doesn't. But so again, this is the Malikis have their own specific ta'rif. Like for example, touching the scrotum doesn't break wudu. Touching with the back of the hand doesn't break wudu. Touching with the arm doesn't break wudu. Touching the anus doesn't break wudu. Right? So the Maliki school, just the palm, the front like palm, hand, the fingers, and then the side of the fingers, inside of the hand. So if you touch that without a barrier, then your wudu is broken. واختلف في مس المرأة فرجها في إيجاب الوضوء بذلك. And then the author says there's khilaf, there's a difference of opinion in the school about the woman touching her private part. So yeah, there's two opinions in the school. And the mashhur is that it doesn't break wudu either way, whether touching outside or inside. That's the mashhur. But there's another strong opinion that iltaf breaks wudu, as in if the fingers go inside of the woman's private part, then that breaks wudu. And Ibn Ashar actually brings that in his Murshid al-Mu'in when he says, iltafu mar'atin kada masu dhakar wa shakku fil hadathi kufru man kafa. So he takes that. So, but that's not the mashhur. Or so the mashhur in the madhab of Imam Malik is that the woman touching outside or inside of her private part does not break wudu. Right, but there's khilaf in the madhab, like we mentioned, and they both at least agree that touching outside doesn't break wudu. Right, so there's just khilaf about touching inside. Right, in the mashhur that it doesn't break wudu. So we'll end with that. Wallahu a'lam wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.